Hey detailers, podcast sponsor Joe here from Auto Fiber Australia. As pro detailers, we are all about using the highest quality products for our customers when it comes to compounds, chemicals, and ceramic coatings. But what about microfiber? Are you using cheap towels that get used once and then tossed into the bin? You need to try out our amazing Auto Fiber range of microfiber. Seriously, it is the best stuff going around. Use our exclusive podcast code 15DDUP and get 15% off when you purchase any of our premium Korean or Chinese made microfiber. We have a wide range of products that are tailor-made to last a long haul, so you get the best value for money and your customers will appreciate it. Go to autofiber.com.au or find us on Instagram to make your purchase and check out our range. Now back to the podcast.
Welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast, the place for everything auto detailing in Australia right now. Here's your host, Dale Guthrie.
G'day and welcome to the Detailing Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Guthrie. Back once again, another fortnightly episode. And believe it or not, we've made it to 50 episodes. So who would have thought? So yeah, pretty cool to knock up 50 eps. So didn't think I'd get past 5, but it's been a battle, and but we've played on and had some awesome support from everyone. So yeah, so huge thanks to all our guests who've come on in the past 50. So 49? Nah, 50. So yeah, no, it's been really cool, and I've met so many people along the way already, so it's pretty awesome, and everyone should be proud of the industry we have in Australia. So that's really good. So yeah, and just also our supporters of Auto Fiber Australia and Sleekspace as well. So head over to the show notes and check out the discounts for you guys there. So yeah, awesome. Thanks once again to them. So trying something a little bit different for each ep as I roll along. So we've got a really good one today, which I'll get to shortly, but I had a bit of an idea late last year and at the start of the year for my first ep. I sort of went into a bit of a recap and some news, so to speak, and from what I've seen, not much has really been passed on, but just from what I see from people's socials. So I thought I'd try and keep that rolling. So yeah, shout out to anyone if you got any events coming up or open shops or cars and coffees or product launches coming or whatever, just hit us up and I can put it out there and make mention just to promote it for you. So that's what this podcast is all about, promotion for people's businesses or products and stuff, and get the word out there of what you're doing. And yeah, I think it's cool. So we've got I have been sharing some of these already, so forget if I'm repeat myself, but I think it's worthwhile to make mention who people have supported us along the way. So yeah, I think it's only wise to give back as well. So Detail Central have an open day on Saturday 23rd of March down at their store in Carrum Down, so the other side of Melbourne. So for those who not know where that joint is, just Google it. Yep, been there. It's an awesome place. So head down on, and no doubt Dan will put on a good show for you. So awesome for that. This one, I've discovered this one, and another bloke's made mention of it, which I clicked pretty instantly. For those who don't know, Stash Group, they're in Sydney. So they're the new providers of MIC for Larry's products, Larry Casella. So he's actually coming to their launch party, which is pretty good. And that is on the 24th of February. So that'll be very soon, in a couple of weeks. So if not very soon. So yeah, he's doing like a VIP workshop as well. So head over to their Instagram and follow the links to that and check out that, and you can grab some tickets to that for the VIP workshop. So that's hosted by Larry himself. I think it goes for an hour and a half or something. So yeah, and then that'll carry on. After that will be their actually launch party of their new shop, and yeah, so there'll be food trucks and products and cars be on display as well. So pretty good effort from them, that crew over there. Also, we had Johnny Q from my rap game on the episode last year. So he did talk about the spandex training workshops coming up. So them dates are out online already. So head over to the Spandex Australia site and yeah, see what dates can fit in with you guys with your PPF or any vinyl wrap training you want to do. So Johnny's the man for that. So my name is down. I think I'm heading to the Melbourne one. The Adelaide one wasn't going to quite work for me. So we'll might see you in Melbourne. Watch your space. So also our mate Cam from Hustling. So he's got the 14th his 14th birthday for the open day, and that is on the 23rd of March. So there's a fair bit happening around March and February. So yeah, that's always a good cause for what he does there for a good charity. Trophies and an auction as well. So lots of sponsors there helping him out. So that's pretty cool, and I think he gets a fair crowd up for that. So if you're around the Tatura area in Victoria, so head on up and check out that on Saturday 23rd of March. So 9 a.m. 12. So pretty cool. All right, we'll hook into today's episode. So these two boys, you've probably seen from their socials already. They've already been talking about this episode they did with me. So Matty Gibb, we all know Matty Gibb, well-known guy. Pretty much polishing everything, polishing. He loves, he's an absolute nut about it. So we all know that. So he's started Matt's Magic Detail Tech. So we'll talk a little bit about that. He wants to pass on his knowledge, his years of knowledge. So he's doing some hands-on training. So this is all around training this episode. So we talk a fair bit in and out about that. And then we have Ayman as well from IGL Australia. He's been on before talking about IGL. They've done a little bit of a different one with their online business training as well. So it's a bit more of a twist to the training side of things. So they'll explain what it's all about better than what I can. So we'll get into that. And I don't think I've got anything else, but yeah, if you've got any events, like I said, coming up or whatever, let me know. It's been really good and got a few episodes planned already coming up. So we're working out a few dates with a few people, and people just been hitting me up on episode ideas as well. So that's even better. So there's a fair bit happening. So all right, let's rip into this episode with Matty and Ayman. Morning, Matt.
G'day, buddy. Thanks for having me on again. It's awesome.
No dramas. Thank you. And we've got Ayman all the way from IGL Coatings as well. We've had him on before. So good morning, Ayman.
Good morning, Dale. Thank you for having me back.
No, it's a pleasure, mate. It's good. We've been talking, both of us, we always talk about training and bits and pieces. So we thought we'd get an episode in. Matty wanted to do an episode, and then Ayman was talking about his training, which I'd have a bit of a look at. And I thought, let's bring them both on, and we'll just do it in one and have a good chat about the whole training, what's going on in that space in Australia. So I think it's I think you're both offer something different, and I think it's very unique, and it's what we need here. So
absolutely, it's very exciting.
So I'll start with you, Matty. So what's been going on lately with you since the last time we chatted online?
I've been communicating backwards and forwards with some phone manufacturers in Europe, getting some samples sent out and some custom ones done, and waiting on a shipment, a small shipment of prototypes of a Mark II of a particular pad, and basically that I want to sort of use for training, and looking to probably down the track, not too far away, selling some as well. Always communicating with companies and doing a lot of testing for my mate's US shop on a new system, a few different things. He mostly does paint protection film these days, but and some other things, tint and wraps and things like that. But yeah, he's got me to work on something, so I'm just doing that. Can't say what exactly, but I'm working on it. Outside of that, health's good. All my numbers are great again, so holding up beautifully. Could be all good as far as health goes. And yeah, just enjoying life. Had my cars serviced and basically got a serious overhaul on the old Falcon. But yeah, mostly just working on my training programs and tweaking here and there, website stuff. Had mate Alex work on the website for me, and I've been doing some work of my own on there now that I'm a bit more confident after he showed me the basics of how to do a few things. I'm no web designing guru by any means, but I'm getting there.
No, that's been very good. So, yeah, you and me always chat every now and then. So, yeah, no, it's been good and good to hear your health's back on track again. So,
It's lovely at the moment. It's great.
ready for a big year ahead. So, how you been going, Ayman? Lots going on in
Mate.
your world?
Every year, my year starts with the same resolution. I want it to be a quiet year. I want routine, and I want repetitiveness. I want a boring year, and it never ends up being so. So it feels like it's forever since we spoke last, but lots of new things happening, mate. Lots of new things. So as the podcast listeners in Australia would know, Australia is a big empty island. And one of the biggest challenges we've always had, especially for a company like mine, like IGL globally is huge, but IGL in Australia is just me. And it's very hard to give everybody around Australia the right support and training and distribution. So I guess it all formed as part of a bigger picture where we launched online training so that way we can train people in remote areas of Australia. But the next phase of that was then allowing sub-distribution of our product. So we launched a sub-distributor program recently with some of our biggest customers and biggest users and most experienced users. So that was quite a challenge in itself to work out a way to get products to everybody. And other than that, mate, just your regular new products and you name it. We've had an email recently go out, which came as a surprise because I didn't ask for it. We had an email go out from a company called Favel Favco Cranes, which are the biggest crane manufacturer in the world, and they specialize in heavy duty cranes for oil rigs and mining sites. And they sent out an email to ExxonMobil recommending us to them after a year of using our product. So that was it was a nice surprise to start off the year. And now we're just sort of hoping to hear back. I think they're catching up in Melbourne mid-February with ExxonMobil. So you don't know. Maybe I'll be in a helicopter one day going out to an oil rig, and all I can think of is what is it called, that movie Deep Blue Sea with the sharks?
Black Demon.
Yeah, I'm like, geez, it's gonna be fun. I'm pretty sure it's not fun when I get if it ever happens. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be fun at all. But geez, it sounds fun from somebody who's never been on anything like that. But just too much going on. Too much going.
Is that the Aegis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, that's the Aegis, because the company Favel Favco had issues with their cranes, mainly on the fittings, going really, really rusty very quickly. Because these cranes are so big that even after they get assembled, they sit on top of the ship to go to an oil rig. They can't put them inside of a ship because they're massive. So the fittings get corroded and they have to be replaced frequently. And they've been using it on those parts for a year now. And they finally said, okay, well, now we've used it. We want ExxonMobil to consider using them on our cranes and their own equipment. But yeah, there's lots and lots going on. There's never a dull moment with IGL, and there's some amazing new things that are coming out that I can't really share now. But I reckon it's going to make for an absolute epic podcast when it does happen. So
cool.
Never a dull moment. That's why I'm going bold. Add to that a wife and 2 kids. Yep.
Yeah, what a life, mate. Go.
What a life.
And you had to sell the race car.
Yeah. So there is a bit of a silver lining in that. So I want to promote IGLA just more into the 4-wheel driving industry. And so I've put an order in for a Land Cruiser 76 series. And whenever that comes, it comes. But it was my dad's dream to have, to do a trip around Australia. So I'd love to just get that in and say to my dad, jump in the car, let's go to, let's go to Cairns, or let's go to Uluru or something. So hopefully not all bad, not all negative stuff out of that.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that's good. Good product testing. So
yeah.
no, very good. So I'll start with you, Matty. So you've been thinking about your training for a while and been working on it in the background, and I think that's where
Yep.
your pad information comes from, and then you'll probably mainly bring that into the training side as well, maybe show
Yeah,
people a
exactly.
little
And
bit about that.
always looking at the next trends, and not trends, but sort of like, gloss enhancement services, for example. Like, we now have technology which basically are like coating ready polishers, or as we also would call them, primer polishers. We even now have supposedly a couple out there that are what I call PPC products, which is polish, primer, and coating in one, which you could use as a gloss enhancement process service, or as a one-step correction. So looking at, changes to how we do one-step enhancements, and sort of testing. I'll be testing some of those. I'm not always the first with all the latest things, but I definitely am a fairly early adopter to anything I think is definitely I can see is going to make a difference. So yeah, so obviously, I teach my one of the other things I teach is the what I call my trigloss method for doing enhancements, which goes beyond your sort of one liquid, one pad, but it's the same time frame. Yeah, so been focusing on the different training, obviously mindset and philosophy comes into it as well. You can be very good on the technical side of things, but if you don't have the right mindset and some of the philosophies, some things that I just refuse to compromise on, like I'll never compromise on quality. It has to be right. So I teach on that as well. But really, it's basically most of the things I'll be teaching on is obviously my just the way, because of my brain, the way it functions. It's very analytical, very technical. I get into that sort of thing. That's why I'll definitely be teaching on obviously the technical side, obviously a little bit of business stuff, but not as much as what Ayman could provide. Brain. So basically, pretty much going from what I call the foundation to the finish, which is my first one that I'll be offering, which is how to do, the safest, most efficient, best ways to prepare a vehicle for doing paint correction or just interior, exterior detailing, that sort of thing. And obviously all the different preparation, the decontamination processes, doing all that correctly and efficiently and safely. And before you start doing any gloss enhancement services or any paint corrections. And then obviously I'll also be teaching on something which is, to some degree, by today's standards, it's not obsolete, but it's not the latest technology anymore. But it was out back in the 90s, and it's basically called chemical reaction polishing, where you're not using anything abrasive, but you're able to deep clean paint, especially old paint, like old classic cars with 70s resprays and even some other modern cars. And you can enhance the gloss of the vehicle and fill in, swell marks if you want to, or you can use it after polishing, abrasive polishing, and to actually enhance the paint itself and actually seal it without removing any. So if you've got a modern car with thin paint, he's talking about 45 to 80 microns, you can pretty much use this system over and over again whenever you wanted to enhance it and seal it and protect it, and you're not removing anything. So it's definitely an old system now by today's standards, but it still has a place. So obviously my main thing is also rotary training. I know that it's probably not the number one thing at the moment people are into, But I think if you can learn how to use a rotary effectively, and you can pick that up pretty well and eventually master it, using a DA machine or a long throw random orbital or a force rotation DA is not too difficult. It's pretty simple, pretty easy. So that's probably for me. There's a lot more to learn on rotary than there is on probably long throw.
And it's funny you mentioned that, Matt. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's right.
I saw a quote yesterday. I think it was something along the lines of a smooth sea never made for a good sailor, or to learn to be a good sailor. Like, I'm one of those people who has never used a rotary, but I can see where you're coming from, because I would rather learn how to use a rotary and in the back of my mind know how to burn paint or know how to avoid the risk. Even if I use a DA, it makes you appreciate the DA more. So I like that you're offering rotary training. It's something really, I think it's needed.
Yeah. I mean, and people have to realize that a lot of people think, oh, it's a great cutting tool. It's a great defect removal tool. But it's actually a very, very good tool to deep clean paint with that chemical reaction system. It's also very good. It is the ultimate finishing tool in many cases. Not every case. Like, there are some soft, sticky paints or even sticky paints that aren't that soft, that actually rotary is not really ideal for. But you pretty much today can get away with a 2-stage correction with rotary only, or rotary then force rotation, or rotary then orbital, short throw or long throw, or medium, or 12 mil. And you can do really great things with it. And I just think that one of the reasons why I think I didn't destroy the paint, all of the paint on my Ford, but it's been polished like 7 or 8 times and been sanded once, and there's hardly anything left. And the reason I didn't destroy the paint is because it was always done with a rotary and then a just quick pass with a short throw orbital. If I'd used long throw DA that many times, I reckon I would have gone through by now. In a lot of places, because it might sound counterintuitive, but the guys at the rag company have proven that if you use a long throw DA, you go through the paint, the clear coat, before the force rotation or the rotary does. But obviously, it's all about controlling heat as well. But there's so much to learn on rotary, and I know it's, from a business standpoint these days, it's great using DA machines because they are very efficient. You can do 1-step enhancements, you can do 1-step corrections, you can do 2-stage, and you don't seem to, you're not throwing the polish around all over the place if you use a fraction too much. Don't worry about the pad the pad's still got to be centered properly, but you put a pad on a rotary 1 millimeter off center, it's still going to swirl it. So it's a great skill to have, and it just, if you can pick up a rotary, and like the guy that came over from Melbourne a few months ago, wasn't that long ago, he bought a DeWalt cordless rotary and had a couple of other tools. He brought them over and I showed him how to use that, and within 1 or 2 days he was leaving either the shallowest hologram or none in some cases, with wall or even foam most of the time, especially with foam anyway. So I think it's a good thing to have. So that's the main thing I focus on.
You'd probably be surprised because people are like leaning towards rotary sometimes too as well. Like, that's making a bit of a comeback as always. But was they the sort of people rocking up with no experience, Matt, or they had a little bit?
The guy that I had last from Melbourne, he basically had done interior exterior detailing, but he had never even basically used virtually not even used a machine at all, any of them.
That's good.
And he wanted to learn rotary, and we went through and did some random orbital stuff too. But a lot of those 3 days was rotary.
Yep.
And there is a lot of different techniques that you can use with a rotary, and different things you can do, and working area sizes and that sort of thing. And I ran him through all that, the different working area sizes you do depending on what service it is as well. But obviously I'll be teaching also. I can teach on some of the things I think I'll be teaching on, if people are interested. Like, it might not make them any more money, but if you want to be a true world-class operator and have that reputation, it's stuff that it'd be good to know. Don't have to learn it, but it would be good to know. And it's the chemistry side of things. some of the chemical side of it, obviously some business and the technical, the machines, the liquids, and obviously polishing pad technology. Being a pad fanatic, some people call me the pad king. Yeah, it's like I've tested tons. I'm always testing more, and yeah, all that knowledge is there to be passed on. Because and I just started wanting to do this because I thought, well, all the knowledge my mentor has shared on the chemical side, and all of my years of researching, testing, real world experience doing cars, and what I've learned from other people on forums from years ago, and then testing all that out, and then all that. It'd be a shame to just not pass it on to the next generation or two.
Mm. Absolutely. And I think with your pad info or research, I think you're looking at more affordable pads as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal. I mean, I understand why most pads are what they are these days, but it's certainly something I have access to. I have access to a few different manufacturers in Europe, and I'm trying to find more and seeing what I can dig up. But I'm the kind of person that really only wants to offer something, liquids and pads that really are either the most advanced there are now with certain features, or are they're really really high quality and they're durable, and they offer performance that some other pads today just aren't offering. And if I can't find too many, I won't be selling too many ranges. If I find a lot, good. But I'm not the kind of person that will just sell product to sell product. I want to sell something that I truly believe in, that people will see the benefits of. I mean, the first pad I ever imported was back in 2014, which is the blue one that most people would know now as the Lake Country SDO blue, or HDO blue as well.
It's a great pad,
and it's a very unique pad because it's from the OEM world, and I first got it in before Lake Country even had it from the manufacturer, and it's like light cutting, heavy polishing, semi finishing in one pad. Most pads are light cutting, medium cutting, or heavy polishing, or intermediate, or polishing, or semi finishing, or finishing. They can't do anything else. They're one. Pads in the future, I believe, now are going to be far more versatile. That's what I'm trying to find, the most versatile pads to cut down on the amount you need.
No, very good. How many days do you require your training? How long's the duration of it go for?
Well, I offer anything from half days to a full day to 2 days or 3 days, and I'm pretty flexible, and people can say, look, I want to do a half day now, and then maybe in a week or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, or a month, or I'll do another day, full day. I really keep it flexible in that regard, so people can do as few or as many sessions as they want to, really. But the last guide was 3 days, and I think it helped him a hell of a lot. And obviously, the main benefit with coming to me for training in person is that you obviously get, whether you do a 1 day, half day, 2 day, 3 day, or you mix it up throughout, let's say, a course of a year doing a number of sessions, you get access to what I'm working on now, slowly but surely, which is more cheat sheets and charts and all that sort of stuff, and a lot of information, technical information in articles or documents. Plus, they can ring me up anytime, 24/7 pretty much, if they wanted to, for advice and mentoring, and go, look, I'm having this problem. What do you think I should do here? Or something to do with business, or they can ring me up anytime. And I'm always, from that point on, they are literally like, they get access to my brain anytime, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, because my mentor did it for me for 10 years, teaching me stuff that, what he taught me on the chemistry side of things, not that I'm a chemistry expert by any means, nowhere near it, but what he taught me for 10 years, he did that for free for me. So I'm not the kind of person that wants to, do the same for someone else. It's like, okay, you've come to me for training. Now you get access to me all the time, whenever you want. Like, call me up with an issue you've got. I get Christian and a few other guys here in Adelaide ringing me up occasionally going, having this problem with this car, this is going on. I can't get this thing to finish right here, or it's doing this and that. And I go, try this, try that. I don't know. I don't always have the answer, but often I can come up with a pretty good answer, or the answer to their problem.
Yeah. Do you recommend if people bring their own polishes as well?
Yeah, I have a variety here.
Yeah.
but they can definitely bring their own machinery. They can bring their own pads, their own liquids, and go, look, I use this system. I like it. Okay, cool. I'm not someone who does training that says, righto, these are the polishes that I'm training on. This is all you get access to. You get access to my mentor's stuff, which is very unique. You get access to 3D1, you get Gelson, I've got Sonax, I've got probably 7 or 8, 9 different ones, one from Merca, which we got to play with that night, which is darn good stuff. Not the polish iron, the other one, the Iridium. I'm still testing for them. And anything else I find that is worthwhile. I picked up a brand yesterday to test out for from a company, and just start playing with that one too. So I'm not someone who's got a bias towards certain brands. It's like, this is what I've got. You can bring your own stuff, and we'll teach on it all.
Yep. What about, you into the wet sanding side of things as well?
Yes, definitely teaching on that. Obviously, the training course I did with Rupus in August was a good help, and I teach on damp, dry, and wet with machine and by hand. I'm certainly someone who my training on sanding would be, I would consider like introductory or basic, or maybe intermediate level. Certainly not. I'm not a sanding guru like Jason Kilmer and some of these other guys. But I definitely have knowledge I can share on what the good brands are, the sort of the machines you need to have, the right orbit size for those discs. Because if you obviously you can use, say, a 9mm Rupus Scorpio or another brand sander with a disc that's designed for 5mm orbit, you're just going to make it a bit more aggressive. It's going to increase the amount of paint removal, or stock removal, as they call it. So, I'll obviously go through and talk about Mercury Galaxy discs and 3M and Kovac Super Bufflex, which is the dry system, and all that sort of thing. And mainly sanding for machine sanding, mainly for oxidation if you had that issue, or hand sanding and machine sanding for fixing up, your scratches and things like that. As long as there's enough thickness there, of course. And when I'm obviously teaching on when to sand and when to say, okay, I've measured this paint, this is not happening. We're not going there.
Yeah. And that's probably one skill people, not everyone would be aware of, and that's where the skill comes in of doing what we do, knowing when to
and
say
also
no.
Teaching on actually not. One of the things I find some detailers, especially newer ones, struggle with, and I think I did when I first started, is knowing when to stop on a car when you're polishing. Like, some people will be, like they're asked basically or they've chosen for a one step, and you go, I'm just not happy with it myself. I want to go further. And you start working on that car like it's your own car, and you start wanting to make it nuts when the customer's not paying for that, or just, getting lost in the zone and you're just buffing away and buffing away. I know a couple of people here that literally, they just go full on like OCD, and they can be on a panel for hours and hours and hours and hours. And you're like, yeah, it's a bit too much sometimes. So knowing when to stop is very important.
Yeah. All well and good if you're getting paid for it, but if you, like you said, if you're in for a one step, you're doing 2 or 3. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yep.
So
I've made that mistake a number of times in my earlier days, where it was like, so like the car comes to me, it's the customer's car, but it becomes my car then. It's like, I want it mental. And it's like, I learned pretty quickly to go, no, it's not that way. They're paying for this. Give them the absolute best you can for that. But that's it.
And usually our eyes are a little bit different to the customer eye. We see a lot.
Oh yeah, especially my eyes. People have said to me before that they swear I can see paint at the molecular level, and I'm like, my eyes aren't that good. They're pretty nuts what they can see from a long way away, but they're not that good.
It's also with that point, and I'm guilty of it too. When I first started, I used to book a car in for a single stage and give them a 10 stage. But and you work out that it's your time and money that you're wasting. But one thing I learned as well from teaching others and from teaching my own staff is it's important to know when to stop, because it's like stacking cards. You want to get the car to be as good as possible, but there comes a point where you're better off letting the customer know, look, there's a little mark on your bonnet that I improved considerably, as opposed to making the whole car perfect and then burning through the paint on the bonnet, trying to give them something that they will never notice anyway. So it's important to know when to stop for safety reasons as well.
Good point.
Very good point indeed. Yes. I did have a customer once with a VY Club Sport Commodore, and he said, I would like you to remove this scratch. And it was on the very corner of the bonnet where it's left-hand corner where obviously the bonnet is just before the windscreen starts. And I measured it and I said, it's about 82, 83 microns. I said, most Falcon and Commodore paints, clear coat runs out at about 65 to 75. Sometimes it's 70, 75, 80, around there somewhere. And mine's been 65, 70, 75. And I said, I'm not going to sand this. I'll try and improve it. But I just literally just gently polished it and just kept measuring it after every maybe 10-second pass. And I just went, look, this is as far as I can go. It's down there to 80 microns, 81 microns, 80 microns. As much as I would love to get rid of this for you, if I stuff it up, if I go too far, I've devalued your car, and now I've got to pay for a complete bonnet respray. And so we've just got to start, especially with the way modern cars are now, with how thin some of these paints are getting, even at Porsche. We've just got to let more things go. As much as it goes against my OCD and my sort of hardcore purist detailer that I am, we got to start going, look, I'm sorry, but we just got to let that go. We can't chase all this stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I had very much the same, but it was brand new Ford Everest, and that had I think 50 to 60 microns on it. So
cool. Wow, okay.
And it was black, and he wanted some marks removed. I said, I did see them. I'll do what I can. And once I measured it, it was like, oh no, I don't think I'll be touching this too much. So
PPF time for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can grind it out, and you might get that scratch out, but then old mate's not going to have much paint left in a few years on that Everest. So
yeah, and he could have a nice flat spot where someone sanded it without an interface or with a film disc, and it's just like bang, and you're like, oh, nice big flat spot with no peel. And it's like, everything else. Can you make it look like that? No car? Like, no, here we go.
So, Ayman, how's your training? Yours is a little bit different.
Yeah. So our training, I guess, has come about in two ways. The first one was when I was still running Leading Edge Detailing. We used to offer 1 week detailing to people who want to start their businesses from scratch, which was very much modeled around the detailing training that I'd give my staff and franchisees. And the demand for that never went away. We always had people emailing asking for detailing training. But further to that, also being the distributor of IGL coatings, we would always have, I would always have numerous questions every day. Since this podcast started, I've had 3 phone calls already of people I need to call back. And it's always around, what should I do in this case? What should I do in that case? How can I do this better? How much should I quote? So I thought to myself, and I said, look, nothing will ever replace hands-on training. It's ideal. The thing, though, is not everybody has access to hands-on training. And not just that, it's like a textbook. You always need something to reference to.
Yes.
And with online these days, and don't get me wrong, I taught myself how to detail from YouTube, mainly looking at Ammo's videos. But the thing is, with online these days, there's a lot of things you got to sort through. Not everything is correct, and just because you see it done online doesn't mean it's the right way. So our course is structured in 2 separate courses, but in each one of those courses, it's structured in a number of ways. The first one is the coatings training, which is not just how to apply your coating for various surfaces, be it industrial, marine, and home coatings and whatever. It covers every type of coating you do, but also why do you offer that coating, when to use that coating, when not to use that coating, how to incorporate it into your business, and how to sell it. Because we've found many, many times where somebody joins IGL coatings and they think that just because I'm going to start offering these coatings, I'm going to become a millionaire. And it's not the case. To be a good detailer, you need detailing training and detailing practice. Doesn't make you a good businessman. To be a good, successful financially detailer, you need to be a good business person. So that particular course teaches a lot of business skills. We do have a separate course that I branded as Leading Edge Detailing instead of IGL. And that is very much heavily focused around establishing your business as well as detailing. So it teaches you about, positioning yourself in the market. You want to be a premium detailer? Do you want to be a mid-range detailer? Do you want to be an entry-level detailer? The marketing, aspect of it, how to do your Google SEOs and how to do Facebook advertising. So it very much ties into not just how to detail or how to use codings, but how to make money from them. And it's very much revolved around years and years and years of both training and supporting my own staff and franchisees, as well as training and supporting applicators. And you can imagine that, and not to mention any brands here, but you can imagine how many situations we have where somebody's used to a cheaper coding comes on because they're getting undercut all the time in their area. Then they join IGL Codings and then call me up and say, look, I'm struggling to sell IGL. How can I do it? And this is where you have to teach them how to leverage other things other than price, because price is always the first thing people go to. And from my personal experience with detailing, it's funny. It's like I love using the example of a Rolex watch. Rolex wouldn't sell more Rolexes if they make it cheaper. But they will sell more Rolexes if they make it more expensive. And from my personal experience, when I first started detailing, I had my full detail package at $500. And I would slave away for 1 or 2 days, doing everything to perfection inside and outside of that vehicle. And it used to only get booked maybe once a year. By the time we finished up leading edge detailing, I was charging $2,000 for a full detail, which would still take me the same time. And most people were booking it. We would be having 2 to 3 a week. And it's all about perception, right? So all these things we're trying to teach people. And the reason is, back when I had a franchise model, I couldn't go out and teach people how to be like leading edge. And lots of people used to contact me and say, how are you so busy? How are you, how come you're getting these bookings and I can't? And I couldn't go and teach them because I had franchisees paying fees to have that advantage. Now that we don't have a franchise model, a lot of the online training courses have been designed with those tips and tricks in mind. How to put packages together and how to price yourself, how to negotiate, how to deal with difficult customers. So it has a lot of business related training and technical training as well. We're talking about the technical aspects of the products, as Matt mentioned, the science behind it, because if you understand the science, you're confident. And when you're confident, you can sell the product. Otherwise, your sell point just becomes it's X amount of dollars and we have X amount of years warranty, like 99.9% of detailers out there. And that doesn't give you a competitive advantage at the end of the day. But if you can say to a customer, look, yeah, this is a 5-year coding and this is a 9-year coding, and this is the difference of why this is different to that. And then if you're confident, customers feel that confidence. Also, though, as part of the training, we do talk about the traditional detailing aspects. But an example I used earlier on today is when I'm teaching a detailer in person how to machine polish. And I'm not a rotary guy, although I love the idea of learning about rotaries. I'm a DA person because I've always and only ever used the DA. You're overheating the pad or you're holding the machine wrong when you get a specific sound when the pad is bowing outwards. And that's something you can't teach someone on a video. You say to them, you say, do you hear the pad is going bob, 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 bob? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, okay, have a look at the pad, how it's looking when it spins. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's because it's overheated. It's starting to break down on the inside. The foam is deteriorating on the inside. And you tell them to stick their finger in the machine and it's piping hot. That's something you can't teach on a video. So the best way to look at the training that we offer, it's almost like a textbook. So ideally, if you're in a position to get in-person training and you're in a position financially to afford everything as well, because I know it's a little bit difficult for especially new detailers, nothing will beat getting the online training and doing the in-person training and then practicing. But it's designed more as a reference point. One of the videos that I would love to do soon that I haven't got around to yet because I haven't had a car with the paint that I need is this very sticky single stage white paint. And one of the ways to resolve that, and people say, oh, the product is sticky, this is sticky, they try IPA to wipe it off, they try this, they try that. It's a case of you need an open cell pad like Repairs Green or Repairs Blue, where you're removing the paint that's coming off off the car, and you're actually absorbing that into a high surface area. And these are all very technical things that there's no videos about online. So that's one of the big things we're trying to do. But also another thing that we're working towards is having co-authors. So for example, we're in the process now of working with one of the very, very experienced airplane detailers in America, and trying to launch a course for airplane detailing and coding. And yes, a lot of the practices will be similar to cars. But if you're a detailer looking at getting into airplanes and aeronautical coatings and aeronautical detailing, it'll be nice to see an expert explain that. So that's something, opening up more and more and more. So even like Matt, for example, if you want to do a course about pads and pad management, and that's the thing about the structure we have, it is something that you can just keep scaling up and up and up to give people more value. And also, we mentioned about it before we started the podcast, is the science behind things. So hopefully in the near future, I can fly out to Malaysia and spend time with the scientists and understand the science behind things, because as much as I know, I have a lot to learn. And I'm genuinely curious about, what is a graphene coating? What is a ceramic coating? What makes a graphene coating graphene? Are there different types of graphenes? And I'm going to talk iGel lingo here because that's what I know. Like, what's the difference between iGel Premier and iGel Enhancer and a ceramic coating? What are they? Is it one is watered down compared to the other one, right? Or is there chemical differences? So these are things that you don't really have access to learn. But yeah, it'll satisfy the curiosity and make for good entertainment. But if you're confident in your knowledge, you can sell. And if you can sell, you'll find it easier to feed your family and grow your business. And finally, before taking up too much time, also the reason that I'm focusing heavily on the business sense of things is I found out that, after running years and years of leading edge and franchisees and staff, I realized that whilst I trained really, really good detailers, and they're world-class detailers, after, instilling in them the quality, you teach them what the quality is and the way of doing things. If you don't teach them the business side of things, they don't know what they have. And quite recently, one of my ex-franchisees gave away his franchise at the end of the contract for nothing. And he gave it to somebody else and started working for them PAYG. Well, he probably had, he was turning over close to $500,000 a year. And, if he knew what his business was worth, he should have sold it. Go sell it to somebody else and
Absolutely.
then work for another brand. But he completely had no idea what the equity was that he had. So in my courses, it's going to focus heavily on the business side, because you can teach yourself, from online. You can teach yourself from the hard way of doing things, like I did, trial and error, because I know, other than Rupesh training, I never did any formal training myself for many years.
Me neither.
Yeah, and it just didn't exist back then, right, Matt? There was nobody you can get it from. You go onto Facebook and you type on the group and you get 5 million people telling you the wrong thing. But I'm focusing heavily on the business side because it's going to complement what people like yourself, Matt, and Liam Callis do in Queensland.
Yes.
And globally. Like this, the online training is not local to Australia. But it's very rare to get somebody to teach you the business side of things, especially from their personal trials and their personal successes and failures. So that's kind of where my course comes in.
And that's what I like about it, because I think for this industry to truly mature, grow up and thrive, it needs more of a business. Technical is great, but you have to have the business stuff. It's struggled. There's people who have been successful in this game, but it's very, very easy for people to start a detailing business and get into it and buy their supplies, however they do it, and work their butt off and make bugger all per hour and get nowhere or be out of business in 1 or 2 years real easy. It's happened a lot. And it needs that. It really needs training in the business side of it. It has to be done. And then the reason why I'm not offering more than just, the bare bones basics of that is because that's not my skill level. That's not my forte. My forte is technical. It's just how my brain is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's sad because, in terms of tradespeople, even your basic handyman makes a set amount per dollar. If I call up a handyman to come to my house and hang up a door, he will say to me, $300 an hour. It's going to take me 2 hours, $600. And I'll think to myself, yeah, all right, that makes sense. But a detailer, a poor detailer will slave all day to detail a car. And if they say $600, yeah, like the customers think it should be less. And maybe for somebody who hasn't invested a lot of time and money in their business and themselves, it's fair. But it's really important to teach detailers how to show the value of their service. And what is value? Because value is not a dollar sign. Value is an equation. So that's what I'm trying hard for. And you know what? We've had a lot of great success stories and a lot of great feedback, not just from the online training, but I know you've had him on your show before. Look at Sid from Intensity in Harvey Bay. Or even Christian Rawson. I don't know if you've had him on the show before, from Rawson Industries Auto Detailing. Both of those guys reached a point in their business. Next door neighbors are deciding to hack something up. Good on them. So, both of those guys reached a point in their business where they started getting so many coatings that they said, we don't want to detail anymore. We want to just focus on coatings. And there have been success stories where, unfortunately, I've had other people who are amazing people in personality and detailers and quality that are still struggling to market themselves. And they could do so much more. So that is the purpose of this training course. And it'll just continue to be added on to, where I might be sitting down one night and say, you know what, geez, I've had a tough customer recently to deal with. Let me go and make a tutorial about how to handle difficult customers. And we just keep adding videos and adding videos.
I've had my share of some very unreasonable ones.
But you know what, Matt? You'll probably agree with this, where when you have a really difficult customer, it's always one of two things. Either their expectations were not set correctly from the start.
Yes.
Right, which is 90% of the issue. Or there was just a lack of, I guess, education or communication.
Yes.
And new detailers always fall into the bad habit of saying whatever they need to say to get the booking without realizing what's going to happen when that customer goes away and decides, I don't have to wash my car, just rinse it off because it's ceramic coated. And 3 months later, it's full of water spots and the customer's not happy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. That's critical.
Yeah.
It really is. So, yeah. One thing I would love to mention now too is that, for me personally, I don't see, and this is the same thing with the industry. Oh, here we go.
There must be my neighbors calling him, saying to him, hey, why did Ayman close the window?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, boy. Is that I don't see Bill Waker's training, your training, Justin at Osram's training, anybody else's training as a threat to me or competition. We're all here and we're all going to benefit the industry. And it's the same as detailers. I famously said on Rennie Doyle's Air Force One podcast as a comment, and Sydney from PNS, she actually pointed it out. She said, Matt says that, love seeing what the Air Force One, what I see with the Air Force One team is what I'd love to see with the industry one day eventually. And that's another detailer does not have to be the enemy. And the same with trainers. We all have a place. Everyone brings something to the table that's different. And there's no need to go, I don't want him to succeed because, he's affecting me, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to mention that straight off the bat.
And you know what, Matt? Nice that you mentioned that, because I noticed in America, when I go to SEMA or whenever I deal with them American detailers, they're very much as we are a group. We're together, we help each other out. Doesn't matter which side you play on. But in Australia, for some reason, we're not like that. And they see each other as enemies, where in reality, it's such a big country with millions of people. You're not going to
Yes.
cross paths.
No.
But, classic example, I think it's called Detailing for Money. It's a Facebook
Yes.
group. And
I
it's
used to be on that one years ago. Yeah.
well, it's owned by a guy called Joey and from Hawaii. And Joey uses System X, I think. Sorry, Joey, if
Yep.
I'm wrong. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, Joey, do you mind me sharing this online training on this page? Look, I'm not going to be pushing IGL, but it is branded as IGL because it's uploaded on the IGL website. So when you paste the link in, it shows you igl.com.au. And he goes, look, mate, he goes, I'm more than happy for you to share it. And I said, look, do you want me to give you something back? Do you want me to give you an affiliate link so you get a commission? What is there anything you want? And he said, no. He goes, as long as it benefits the detailing community, I'm happy for you to share it. And that's great attitude. That is, 10 out of 10 attitude, because realistically, brands change. Retailers change brands. And if you're going to go out and attack everybody who's using a competing brand, those guys might end up being your mates one day.
Exactly.
It's,
Well,
yeah.
I just see, and it might be, I'm sure it's naive of me or whatever, but I've just always seen it as, we are all, Bruce Lee is one of my heroes, one of my idols, and along with Nikola Tesla. And I love his quote when he was on the show back in 1971 about, under the stars, under the heavens, there is but one family. It just so happens, man, that people are different. But we are all different. But if we see each other as family in this industry, why would you want to hurt anyone? Like, I just don't understand the tall poppy syndrome we have in this country with some people and the egotisticalness. But anyway, that's my stance, is that whatever benefits the industry and sees it mature and grow and thrive and get better, and I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing will make me happier than to have a conference or an event in Australia where we can get all the suppliers and all the detailers join and genuinely try to help each other out. It's it's a struggle we have against the dealerships, right? Like, if you're talking about a detailing sense, it's we need to educate. Everybody needs to educate the consumer market.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that could be happening sooner than you think.
I hope so.
If one of our buddies gets this thing rolling like he's trying to do, it could happen in a
I think
not
I know
too
which
distant
buddy
future.
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Been talking to him for a few years about it. So
yeah,
I think we all got that idea. So and this is the reason, part of the podcast as well, bring the industry together and get it out there and promote each other and just talk about what we do and all get along. Really, that was the intent behind this. So
funny you mentioned that, Dale. This is going to be like a complete side topic, but I'll share the story of how it came about as well, to show you that I'm still learning every day, right? So we had, I forgot the gentleman's name from Brisbane, reach out to try to buy IGL Aegis because he was getting a lot of inquiries for it. And I looked into his profile and what he does, and he was the Ceramic Pro dealer in Queensland. And I said to him, look, mate, I'm sorry, I can't certify you to use this product. It's a conflict of interest because you're a competitor. So then I reached out to head office at IGL and I said to them, look, we're having so many different people try to buy this product and I can't keep restricting it, but what do I do? And the owner of IGL said to me, he goes, look, Ayman, if he wants to use it in his shop to help his customers out, don't restrict it. Like, at the end of the day, he's a competing brand, but if he wants to offer the underbody coating, which his brand doesn't have, then you should help him. And after speaking to him about that and him sharing with me a few things that they're working on, we decided to make some of our products publicly available. So at the end of the day, if, whoever wants to buy them and use them, if it's a benefit to them, use it. So, that was a learning lesson for me not long ago. I think it was probably a month ago where, ever since, and I haven't messaged him and said to him he can buy it now. Probably need to swallow that pride pill. But yeah, it is all trying to head down that path of working together as opposed to against each other.
Yeah, the rising tide raises all ships.
That's it.
So that's how I see it, and I just hope the industry one day, it's never going to be utopia, but if it can be very civilized and a lot better, and I think it's slowly getting there, and those that don't want to play that game can leave.
Well, if you have a whole bunch of trainers all sharing the same message, because we're not just teaching people how to hold a polishing machine and remove and make paint silky smooth. If we try to teach all these newcomers and existing detailers, if they want to take time and learn, if we instill in them the values of working with each other as opposed to against each other, then I think in the future things will change.
And one of the things I started doing last year, I've only done it once. I was trying to do one event in January, but it couldn't happen because the place I was going to have it at was full of cars, and it happens sometimes, being a restoration shop. Is what I call the detailers social events. So the first one was pizza paints and polishes, and I had the guys from America, Australia over, and had Pete over, and it was a really interesting evening, and it was just the first one of many. And I'm looking now to do one in April at a place called American Motors, where I'll be hosting a training event next month with Bill, and bringing this core group of guys that I've got here in Adelaide that I know that I've either trained a little bit or somewhat, or have mentored a bit or provided advice to, or just know. And most of them all knew of each other but never met, said, come on guys, let's just get together. And slowly but surely we'll increase the numbers. And obviously it'll be by invite only, but as we get to know people and whatever else, and they prove themselves worthy of being nice people that aren't going to rock up and be a problem. It hopefully will make SA and much better, as far as you're still going to have a bunch of people out there doing their own thing and not interested in coming along and just want to do whatever they do, and that's fine. But we've had interest from people in Victoria and New South Wales now saying, "Oh, can we do that too?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." And it's just my sheer passion for the industry, because this industry gave me a purpose in life, a reason to get up in the morning. I was so lost with my last couple of years of high school. I'm like, what am I going to do as a career? I just had never had an idea what I wanted to do. And, this really, back in 93, it was like, I got interested in it because I had bought my first car. It wasn't that old. It was like a 4-year-old car. It wasn't much really it was only a $10,000 car, but to me, it was like everything. And it gave me purpose in life, and I owe it a lot, and I want to give back.
No, that's spot on, Matty. And I did attend that pizza paint and polishes one. That was a pretty good night, and I know you planned on a few more. So even
definitely April, August, sort of November sort of deal.
Yeah. Even the one you said is Bill Baker coming over to Adelaide, you said so?
Yes, March 16th, Saturday at American Motors, thanks to Brad at Flawless Finish, one of the guys I sort of provide advice to here and there, who's doing really well for himself these days. After I think he's 4 or 5 years into detailing, he's doing really well. So he knew them and said, "Look, what about these guys?" Well, I'll ask them, and they've given me a ring and said, "Yeah, we're keen to do that. No worries." And I thought, wow, that's cool. They can host it for us and have a nice place to do it, because I don't have the workshop anymore. So it's like, well, I need a decent place with space and a good setup, and it's like, yeah, this is pretty cool. Now we should be able to do the social nights as well, even if we do it during the day sometimes on a Saturday or something like down there. That's another option now too as well. So, and I'd like to bring a few guys over from interstate, like Dustin from, I think it's Marine Detailing Solutions, I think, the System X distributor, and a few other people I know, and maybe even a few other companies, like getting the guys like Cassian and that from Sonax to come over for an event this year in SA, and maybe it could be like a part social, part training night. Who knows? But try and get that ball rolling as well. So
no, it's definitely a start, and it's pretty good. I know at the moment it's just in Adelaide, but who knows where it'll end up. But
yeah,
I think the last one was good. Just everyone come in and had a bit of pizza and a couple of drinks and all talked and met each other.
And it was a little bit rough around the edges to some degree, but it was, I think, considering I was not expecting it to go even that good. So it went pretty damn well. And like I said, it's just good. It's just a start, and it's just keep going and make it better as time goes on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So,
but
how long's
what I wanted to?
Oh,
no, go ahead, mate.
I was just going to ask Ayman, how what's the duration of the online stuff? How long's that going?
Oh, geez. So I checked a while ago, and since then we've had a lot of videos. I think we had about 18 hours worth of content.
Yeah.
And it's just increasing. And it sort of, the videos don't need to be longer than they need to be. But mate, I think I don't know when it's going to end, right? I don't know when it's going to finish, because at the end of the day, I haven't shot the marine coding stuff yet. We haven't done the airplanes. I have nowhere near come into the middle of the detailing stuff. So I did the interior detailing videos. I still have to do the exterior detailing and the paint correction. But there's enough content in there to keep somebody very busy for a very long time. And I'm adding 2 to 3 videos a week at the moment. But one of my latest videos is about IGL Titan, which is an antimicrobial coating that basically uses UV light and sunlight to kill 99% of viruses, bacteria, and mold. And that is incredibly resistant to cleaning. So it will last for over a year, and it lasts for 10,000 cleaning cycles against bleach and ammonia and regular household cleaners. And hopefully this product is going to get adopted. We'll find out in April if it's going to go through some big tenders in New South Wales for hospitals. So, we already have Gareth Jones from Perth who's coating UFC gyms with it. I coated my house with it, and I made a training video for 2 reasons. One is because I'm sick of my kids getting sick. And hopefully I basically coated everything, including some of their soft toys. But that's to reduce spread of disease in the house. But also my windowsills at home right behind me in winter from the condensation, because we have a gas heater, they start getting mold. So, so there's always things like that. And it's not just your traditional, okay, this is how you apply your iGel Kenzo and wheel coating and window coating and leather coating. We'd have them. But it's got a lot of stuff in there that is not traditional. And it doesn't take me a long time to make a video. I just have to make sure the kids aren't at home, so they're not screaming, and the neighbors aren't grinding something. And it's it just, like, how can I say it? We have quite a good number of subscribers from all over the world now, but there's a few IGL customers who are subscribed. So it's not just professional detailers who have access to these videos. And it's just, one of them, which is Trent from Toowoomba, lovely guy, fanatic, super OCD guy, has a beautiful Porsche GT4 RS. He owns a few daycare centers. So for him to watch a video like that, he'd be like, geez, maybe we can treat some surfaces in there so there's less gastro or hand, foot, and mouth disease or whatever kids these days like to get themselves sick with. But yeah, to answer your question, how long does it go for? I would say comfortably there's 20 hours worth of content now. And a lot of those courses have quizzes. I haven't enforced the quiz yet, but I can for the people who are listening. So one day, you don't know, there might be a button press that means you have to pass a quiz before you go to the next training course. But it's similar to your podcast, Dale. Like, your podcast aims at adding value to people by sharing others' experience. And with these training videos, I wish one day to get it to a point where, let's say, for example, there's a farming group called Daybreak. They're now called El Toro. They've been getting the big John Deere sprayers coated with RGL Aegis. And one of our applicators, Dwayne from Bendigo or Shepparton or something, Ballarat, he's done a few for them, and he's now developed a good relationship with the farm manager who looks after these machines. And I would love to go and make a video with the farm manager, sharing his experiences and challenges with these things, with these sprayers, because at the end of the day, I still believe there's a big market in the automotive industry. There's a big market in the automotive retail, but we are in a huge island that doesn't have many people. We've only got 27 million people. We're the size of America, but we have a lot of farms and a lot of industry and a lot of mining. And if the detailers start cracking into those areas, their contract, you're not hustling day to day for a booking. You're getting a contract that might be worth $100,000 a year, and you can go and get more contracts. And if I can support our guys in getting, farms like that, Al Toro Agricultural Group, they have farms all over Australia. And that's the beauty of this training is I just wanted to just be an evolving process of value. Now we do have, and I should have maybe mentioned this earlier on, the training course is not entirely for free. So you have two courses. One of them at the moment is only $10 US per month because Teachable is a US website, so it's all in US dollars. The detailing training is only $10 US per month because it's not complete yet. When it's complete, I'll be upping the price. And there's a few free videos in that. And the ceramic coating training is $100 US per month, which just, it's not a contract. You don't have to stay subscribed for more than a month. But, people say, oh, wow, it's expensive. It is expensive. $100 US a month is expensive. But compared to paying $2,000 for certification for a 2-day course, that means you have to take time off work, fly somewhere for somebody to teach you what a high spot is. It's actually pretty good value for money.
It is. It is.
But it does have, I would say, maybe 5 free videos in there. And one of them is how to spray IGL Eclipse, which in America they charge, I think, $600 or $700 US to teach. But the course we have, the IGL industrial module, was filmed by IGL head office, and as part of them supporting me and saying, look, you can use our content, they said to me, our condition is that, we don't want you to charge for this video because we never shot it with the intention of charging people for it. And that's one of a few videos in there. So to the listeners here, jump on and watch the free videos. If you don't want to subscribe, you're still going to learn a lot of things. But yeah, like I said, hopefully in March I'll be flying to Malaysia, and we'll be doing some video training modules from the factory, from the science department, and for my own sake, I want to learn a lot of these things, and I just honestly can't wait to share with people the knowledge they need. And it's not a case of saying, okay, like, you just mentioned Dustin from System X, lovely guy. I've never had any issues with Dustin. It's not a case of mentioning brand A versus brand B. It's a case of educating people as to what are VOCs, why they're bad for you. How do you, what is product A versus product B? Not in terms of the product, but the chemical. Yes. What is the benefit of this chemical versus that chemical? And at the end of the day, if they use IGL or System X or CarPro or FenLab or whatever other million Gaon, it's the decision of the detailer at the end of the day. And there's a lot more to picking a brand to use than the product. The support and the marketing and the complaint handling. There's a lot, and that's for the detailer to decide. But if I can educate people and detailers and customers in those areas, I think it's going to benefit everybody, because at the end of the day, you're going to have less people unhappy. You're going to have less people asking questions that you can't answer. People just, the more knowledge they have, the better it is for everyone.
I agree.
Well said.
And I definitely agree about the whole agricultural thing. And, that's when Ivan first mentioned it, Ivan LaCroix first mentioned, like, when during the winter in America, go off and work on some farm vehicles and stuff like that. There's a market for that. I mean, I started putting sealants and waxes on stuff in my house 30 years ago. Now, it might not have been, the most ideal product for them, but I've always done that because if everything's sealed and protected with something,
it's easy to clean.
It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Whether it's kitchen sinks and taps and shower screens and everything. Like, I just coat everything. So,
I do see it as the next big thing. Like, sorry to interrupt you, but as detailers, because us three, we are detailers at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what we do now, whether we sell products or do training. We have all detailed, and we're detailers to begin with. Let's say 5, 6, 7 years ago, most people wouldn't get a ceramic coating. You really have to explain to them. But now people are educated. They know they want a ceramic coating or they want PPF. The education is there for the consumer to say, I should put something on. And it's only a matter of time before that same mentality flows into residential. I want my kitchen coated. I want my bathrooms coated. I want my showers coated.
Especially antimicrobial.
Mate, this antimicrobial one, the only reason it's not as well known is because it's not certified in America. So in Australia, we already had, with the help of my friend Bernie from JB Medical, he reached out to the TGA, and we have it in writing from the Therapeutic Goods Administration of Australia that we're permitted to use this product and sell this product because it doesn't fall into as a cosmetic good because you're not applying it on people. So it doesn't need a TGA approval, although we have it in writing from them that it's approved. But in America, I think it's because they have like 50 something states and each state has its own laws and rules and regulations. They'd have to go and certify this product in every single state, and it'll cost a fortune. So because it's not available in America, it's actually not listed on the IGL Coatings main website.
Okay.
But I think once it starts getting adopted more and more, it's, think about it like this: aged care centers, child care centers, homes, and things like that. But also in factories where, let's say, what is it called, abattoirs and things like that, where you always have a potential for bacteria to build up. Now, I'm not saying go use this product on a food surface, but just in general areas where you're going to get bacteria, mold, and bad stuff built up. It's or high touch points. If you go to Singapore, and I should probably send you guys some photos, a lot of Asian countries, you go to public places and it'll have a sign saying this surface has been protected for your safety, or has been coated for your safety. This is the kind of product it is. So escalators, handrails, ATMs, public touch points, office desks, office phones, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, it's pretty almost endless, isn't it? Really,
it is. It is. And it's educating people. You know what? I think it's up to us detailers to step out of the let me coat your car for X amount of dollars and trying to get more and more coatings, to let's go and knock on the door of an aged care facility and try to get a contract to go and coat their equipment so elderly people don't spread disease between
absolutely.
them. So
and once you explain the problem and the solution that it provides and the benefits, it's almost a no-brainer, isn't it? Really,
it is. The government now is focusing on these things. So not to dive in too much into detail, but one of my friends owns a company that supplies into hospitals. And for the first time ever, he's been supplying into them for 20 something years. For the first time ever, they actually asked as part of the tender, do you use any antimicrobial coatings? And please give us your, the details of the product you're using. And he turned around to me and goes, hey, Ayman, Titan, let's do it. So the government is actually now, driving this. So to the listeners here, big hint, the government is now looking at coatings. Start hustling, right? Go to your council. Go to, if the government is driving this, now's the time for you as somebody who's already experienced in coatings to do something about it.
Yep, definitely.
Sorry, I get excited about these things. And especially with the window closed, now it's getting really hot. So
just like me with polishing pads. God, I can go on about them.
So before we wrap it up, guys, I know my experience of starting the pod, I know some people are anti-training and believe they can probably know it already. So is there anything out there that you want to mention before we wrap up, that why we need the training and how it will help you? We might have already covered a little bit of it, but I know one thing that people are not huge on training in Australia for some reason compared to America. I don't know. That's
well, I mean, yeah.
Matt, you go first.
I was just going to say, like, the first mistake and the biggest mistake people will make is thinking they know everything. My first thing I'll ever say to anybody if they ask me is, like, I don't know everything. I never will. if you have an open mind, and just think, I believe in my abilities, but I know I could be better, and you always have that attitude, and just basically be a sponge your whole life. It's like I still need training on things in different areas. Life is one big learning session. It basically is. And I just think that anyone who's thinks that I don't need training, I think I'm pretty damn good. Open your mind and don't make the mistake that some people do of like, I know everything, blah blah blah, I'm done. Like open your mind, go to some training events, whether it's mine or Bill's or mine and Bill together or yours or Liam's or anyone's. You'd be amazed what you pick up. I mean, I pick up stuff I learn things from everybody, even people that have come to me for training. There's always something to learn from everyone. Just have an open mind and just be a sponge and just absorb everything. So definitely there's definitely a place for it, and there is so much. I mean, I know that I'm not sure how many people like me exist in the world. There's people that are faster than me, people that are better than me in some areas, but like it's amazing how much when you look at something from the outside in initially, you think, oh, that looks pretty simple. But the more you look into something, the more complex and more sort of intricate it really is. There's so much to this game on the technical side and the business side that people really, almost everybody, pretty much everyone needs to get some training. Whether it's just machines, liquids, pads, the science behind it, all the rest of it. Like it's just there's so much more into it than people think.
People fall into the trap of thinking because it works now, it's going to work tomorrow. And technology advances, especially like pads and polishers and things like that. If you're always working with what's always worked, yeah, great. It used to always work. It doesn't mean it's always going to it's always going to work, or it doesn't mean that something is not already better out there. But
and what if a manufacturer or manufacturers change the paints all over again, and go to nothing but powder coat clears or fast UV dry or whatever the technology they bring out, or if they go to the point one day where they stop even using paint at all and just wrap it and call it good. Don't know, but what if the paint changes drastically and we're like, nothing works anymore? What do we do?
Well, from my perspective, I think people need to treat themselves as an asset to their own business. And if they look at it as a return on investment, if you are spending $1, what are you going to get for that? What are you going to get back for that dollar? And the best way I can explain this is whether it's my training, Matt's training, whoever's training. If you're going to invest money and time, what are you going to get out of it? Now, for me, for example, I don't want people just to cover, subscribe, and not watch anything because there's no value out of it for them.
No.
Right? If you're going to go and, for that $100 US a month, right? If that $100 US a month, actually, it's funny. It's sort of like Google AdWords, right? If you're investing $100 US per month, how much business are you going to get back from what you're going to learn in that course? Now, if that course teaches you how to get one extra ceramic coating booking for that whole year, that course has just paid for itself for that whole subscription for that whole year in one job. So, or in case, Matt's training, for example, if you do the training with Matt, and I don't know how much you charge, but it doesn't matter. If you're spending $1,000 with Matt, and Matt teaches you how to save 2 hours per car, and you're doing 2 cars a week, right? That's 100 hours a week, right? 104 hours a week that you've saved. Oh, sorry, not a week, a year that you've saved in efficiency. So that is a good financial decision. And that's what I say to people is just because it's working now, or just because, it's working for you, don't think there's nothing you can learn, because as human beings, we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. And you might pick up something, you might not learn, you might already know 90% of what you're seeing, But if you can pick up 10%, it's going to make you better. In an industry where we're in, where every job is worth so much money, you can get that money back very quickly. So treat yourself as an asset, invest in yourself, invest in your business, and think to yourself, like, I'm going to use me as an example right now. I'm part of a CEO group that I was invited to by one of my customers and friends because he saw that IGL Coatings had potential and he wanted to help me get into Bunnings and Coles and big businesses. So he invited me to this CEO group. And this CEO group, I am by far the smallest business. Like there are businesses there that are turning over $480 million a year.
Big bucks.
Massive. I'm like a fly in the wall there, right?
Yeah.
I think the smallest business other than mine turns over about $80 million a year. And there's about six or seven people in that group. And my subscription for that group every month is $970 Australian.
Yep. But what are you gaining?
Correct. Now, to me, I think to myself, I said to my wife, it's going to cost me $12,000 a year, whatever it is. Plus 1 day every month, I have to travel to the city and I live very far away from the city. It's about a 4-hour round trip for me. I think to myself, I go, you know what, even if I spend 5 years in that group and I don't get anything, and it's going to cost me $60,000, all I need is for a Bunnings or a Super Cheap Auto or a mining company or Toyota Australia or whatever it is. There's so many connections in that group. All I need is for one customer to give me a break, and I'm going to make way more money than what I've ever spent in that group. So to me, it's money well spent. And that's the way people need to look at that training, is not how much it costs me, but what is the potential that I can get out of it. So that's what I'll leave the listeners with, is what potentially are you going to get out of it. If you're going to get out better paint corrections, less damage to cars, more bookings, less unhappy customers, more reviews, more efficiency, more profit, it's a no-brainer.
I'm going to sort of continue on that with, what are the people gaining? Well, the first thing I want to say is, when it comes to products, and it can be detailing products, it can be anything really, it amazes me the amount of people that will see a high price for a product. And I'll give you one example. It's a natural, one of the earliest, and it's a very good water-based silica spray sealer. And it comes in a 1 litre bottle, and its original price was $200. But it was a concentrate, and it makes 5 to 20 litres of product, depending on what percentage. It's 3%, 5%, 10, 20, 15, 20, whatever you want to do. I saw the value in that and thought, it's cost me this much per application if I use this percentage, which is minimum. I see, you got to see basically, okay, this is costing this much, but people look at the price of something and freak out, never considering what they're gaining from it. You've got to see what you're gaining from it. And what people are gaining from my training is, you get access to, which I never had before. Myself, I never had this. You get access to a person with 120,000 hours of combined real-world detailing experience, R&D testing time, which I'm still doing for some manufacturers, and myself, and teaching you how to avoid making the mistakes of the past of detailers like myself and others that made mistakes that cost them dollars, and access to basically global contacts of suppliers and all sorts of technical knowledge, some business knowledge, chemical knowledge, some chemical knowledge that people may not want to even think they need, or it won't make them any extra money. But definitely one of them is efficiency. I learned very early on that to actually make decent money out of this industry and to do well, I had to become very efficient. My focus was very much on efficiency and it's, looking at the cycle times of polishing now, it's 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 60-second cycles, 90, 120. There was a time there for years I was doing 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes and stuff like this on areas. Like, you get some access to so much that I've learned over 30 years. When I started, we had nothing. I mean, I learned off of one guy a little bit of stuff, and what he taught me then was probably high end on the knowledge and skill level, but by today's standards, it's old school. But you get access to so much knowledge and obviously good skills to then be able to, I'm massively reducing your learning curve and avoiding making very expensive mistakes. So there's a lot to be gained from
it. 100%.
Spot on. And I usually say with training, if you think you know it all or think you're pretty good, go there and just verify what you're doing and make sure you are doing it right as well. Like training will say yay or nay or you could actually find a better way to do it. So like we've said. So
yep.
All right, we'll wrap it up, boys. It's been very good, very informative to everyone, hopefully. So
thank you, Dale.
How can everyone contact you boys for training?
You go
Matt,
first, bud.
Go first. We need to start scissor paper. We need to start doing scissor paper rocks every question. Me and you, mate.
My new website I'm still working on it, but it's at a pretty decent, reasonable point now. So mattsmagic.com.au, 2 T's. You can send me an email via inquiries at mattsmagic.com.au. Obviously, there's Matt's Magic Detail Tech on Instagram as well. And so they're the main ones. And just send me an email or have a look at the website there. I'm still working on it now, obviously, but it's certainly at a point now where it's got enough information on there to be helpful. And I'm just going to start working on some blogs and that now too. So, yeah.
Well, for us, there's a number of ways to get in touch now. So I guess the easiest one for the listeners in this podcast is what I'll do, Dale, is I'll give you a link and I'll do a 10% off for the life of the subscription for the listeners here to help them out. And then they can go to that link and join. And I think we have Afterpay and PayPal and a few other things that Teachable offers, which is the platform we use. But otherwise, they can go into the iglcoatings.com.au website, fill out a get in touch form that comes through to me. Or if they want to go and have a chat, I guess the distributors, the sub-distributors we have aren't really involved too much into the training, but they're top people. And because they're already businesses, they will give you an honest opinion about what they think of the products anyway. But we'll keep it specific to the training. So if you want to get in touch, just go to the iglcoatings.com.au website or the link in the podcast. Yeah. And my email anyways, we'll do the easy one without spelling my name out, sales@iglcoatings.com.au. So if anybody wants to ever reach out, feel free. But yeah, it's very, very much straightforward with us. And you can watch the videos at your own time. Probably really good to put you to sleep just before bed.
No, they're very good. So, awesome, boys. We'll
thank you,
wrap
Dale.
it up and we'll go and continue on with our day. So,
thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely afternoon.
Yep.
Yes, always a pleasure, Dale. You're a legend.
No,
thank you, Ayman.
Well,
love to connect with you again.
Thank you, gents. Take care.
As always. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
boys.
Ciao.
Cheers.
That was another episode of the Detailing Down Under podcast. Subscribe now for everything auto detailing in Australia.